Silent shadow in the night it glides, invisible wings where secrets reside. Futuristic form with a haunting grace, a ghost of the sky leaves no trace. It flies with no sound through the darkened air, a whisper of war in the heavens up there.
You're tuned into VL Extras, where we unpack innovations that shape our world. 2 weeks ago, the globe held its breath as Israel and Iran traded missile strikes, teetering on the brink of World War III. Israel launched Operation June 12th, crippling Iran's air defenses. Iran retaliated with missiles, escalating fears of global conflict. The U.S., initially hesitant, joined Operation Midnight Hammer, the largest B-2 strike in history. 7 B-2s flew 18 hours undetected, dropping 420,000 pounds of explosives, while a submarine launched more than 24 Tomahawk missiles. Posts, like at Northrop Grumman's official Twitter page, hailed the B-2's stealth as unmatched. Today we unravel the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, a plane so invisible it slipped past Iran's defenses undetected. How does this $2.1 billion marvel vanish from radar? Let's dive into the tech, the mission, and the company behind it.
The U.S. attack on 3 Iranian nuclear sites. This morning we're getting a look at some of the damage done over the weekend. Aerial images you see there showing impact on the surface. U.S. forces around the region and authorities at home are on alert for potential retaliation from Iran, warning its military will decide the timing, nature, and scale of its response. The U.S. has about 40,000 forces in the region, spread out among about 20 sites. We have complete team coverage, beginning with new details about the 36-hour mission of the U.S. B-2 stealth bombers that attacked Iran on Saturday. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz starts us off. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Robin. President Trump called the mission a tremendous success, a mission carried out with maximum stealth.
This morning, we're getting our first look at that extraordinary attack on 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. This fireball in the night sky, explosions heard in the distance at Iran's Isfahan nuclear facility. Part of the barrage known as Operation Midnight Hammer that included the largest strike by B-2 stealth bombers in history.
This is a plan that took months and weeks of positioning and preparation, so that we could be ready when the President of the United States called.
The operation carried out in complete secrecy, beginning at 12:01 a.m. Saturday morning. About a dozen B-2 bombers taking flight from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. Around half of them heading west towards Guam, those with trackable movements. This was a decoy. Another 7, those with transponders turned off and minimal radio communications, launching a short time later, heading towards Iran. The 18-hour flight to Iran, including mid-air refueling and in-air support.
The B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications.
Approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday, a U.S. submarine launching 24 Tomahawk land cruise missiles at key service infrastructure targets for nuclear facility Isfahan. By 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time, the 25-minute mission inside Iran's airspace activating. U.S. fighter jets sweeping in to protect the B-2s from possible enemy missiles and warplanes. The B-2s dropping 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator weapons, also known as MOPs, or bunker busters, onto Iran's most complex nuclear enrichment facility, Fordo. Experts say it's carved at least 300 feet below the surface of a stone mountain and reinforced with concrete. The first time ever those bombs used in a strike.
The remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas.
These before and after satellite images show the destruction at the targeted sites, what appears to be extensive damage in Isfahan. In Natanz, another critical Iranian nuclear facility, an 18-foot wide hole above part of what military officials say is an underground military complex.
First, let's meet the company behind the B-2 Spirit, Northrop Grumman, a titan in aerospace and defense. Northrop Grumman Corporation, headquartered in Falls Church, Virginia, is a global aerospace and defense technology company formed in 1994 through the merger of Northrop Corporation, founded in 1939, by Jack Northrop, and Grumman Aerospace, founded in 1929 by Leroy Grumman. The company employs approximately 100,000 people and generates over $36 billion in revenue, primarily from U.S. Department of Defense and Intelligence Community contracts. It operates in 4 sectors: aeronautic systems, defense systems, mission systems, and space systems. Key acquisitions include Westinghouse, TRW Incorporated, and Orbital ATK. The company relocated from Los Angeles to Virginia in 2011 to be closer to government clients, a move led by then CEO Wesley Bush. Today, Kathy J. Warden steers the ship. Northrop Grumman is the fifth largest U.S. defense contractor, known for stealth bombers, surveillance drones, and space systems.
Hi, welcome to Northrop Grumman. Let me show you what we do. Are you ready? This is where we push the laws of physics. Always something new in here. This is where we're creating the future of connectivity. From the bottom of the ocean to the expanse of space. This is where we put massive power into the microscopic. That's the future of supercomputing. You want to see engineering imitating life? This is where we teach machines to go where humans can't. And this is where we engineer tomorrow's solutions in space. I love being up here. You see, the technology we make is what makes the impossible possible. And it doesn't stop there.
Whoever threw it has to go get it. Somebody will get it.
Anyone can dream. Making it a reality is the hard part. From the B-2 to the upcoming B-21, Northrop Grumman stealth bombers give America an advantage in a turbulent world, and we're looking for a few dreamers to join us.
Kathy J. Warden has been the CEO and president of Northrop Grumman since January 1st, 2019, and was elected chairman of the board in August 2019. Warden joined Northrop Grumman in 2008 and has held various leadership roles, including Chief Operating Officer, where she oversaw global operations and the integration of Orbital ATK. Warden is recognized for her strategic vision in aerospace and defense, emphasizing innovation in autonomous systems, space, and cybersecurity. Her leadership has driven Northrop Grumman's focus on next-generation technologies, such as the B-21 radar and space systems, while navigating challenges like the Chinese government sanctions in 2023 due to U.S. arms sales to Taiwan. Warden's accolades include awards for diversity and inclusion, and she is a prominent figure in the aerospace industry, frequently featured in business publications like Fortune and CEO World.
I sat down exclusively with CEO and Chair Kathy Warden to discuss the portfolio, but since it is September 11th and we mark 22 years since those terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, we first discussed how the world and the notion of security and deterrence have changed.
Well, I'm glad that you raised it because it is a day that we don't want to forget. It is an important reminder of why we do the work we do in support of global security, and we need to remember the tragedy of lives lost. But as I think about the motivation that brings to the work that we do, our people very much have a passion for mission, and it's events like 9/11 that remind us that that passion is well placed, that we want people to feel safe in their homelands, and that in this important time that we live in, we all have a role to play in making that happen.
Yeah, never forget. How do you think about the geopolitical landscape right now, and what does that mean in terms of the way you're making investments and the types of technologies and capabilities you're looking to bring to the government?
It's definitely a complex environment that we're operating in. You noted the investments that China is making in their military buildup and also technology advancements. So in one dimension, we need to keep pace and stay at the forefront of technology advancement. On the other hand, there are adversaries that have lesser capability that also are aggressors, and we need to make sure that we are able to have the capability and capacity to address those threats.
The B-2 Spirit, built by Northrop Grumman, is the world's only operational stealth bomber designed to vanish from radar. Its flying wing design, with no tail or fuselage, slashes its radar cross-section, making it near invisible, per The Aviationist. Costing $2.1 billion each, only 21 exist. With a 6,000 nautical mile range, extended by refueling, it can strike anywhere globally. In Operation Midnight Hammer, 7 B-2s flew 18 hours from Missouri, dropping 14 GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrators, 30,000-pound bunker busters on Fordo and Natanz, while Tomahawks hit Isfahan. This was a highly classified mission, with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. General Dan Caine, the chairman, said in a briefing at the Pentagon on Sunday morning, detailing the strikes against the Iranian nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. X's at How Things Work called it a radar ghost. But what makes it invisible?
So the B-2 bomber is not only non-reflective back to you, it takes the signal and reflects it and double bounces it so that all of your energy gets sent in other directions and not back to you. So it doesn't then keep the energy that was sent to it.
Just like they did with the stealth bomber, just like they did with these hypersonic missiles. There's a lot of stuff that they developed that's like, it has to be developed in top secret for national security reasons.
The B-2, when you run all the weight and the propulsion dynamics, it would have been incapable of the performance figures credited for it. So therefore it had to have some other boost to its capabilities.
It's plausible to me that the B-2 bomber at very high altitudes could be riding what I would call an electrokinetic wave, which is what the Biefeld-Brown effect describes, where you are generating a negative wave behind the airplane and a positive wave in front of the airplane, and the plane is effectively surfing that wave at high altitudes where the wings don't have as much bite on the air.
And then you ask yourself the question, if there was covert IP transfer into the B-2 bomber, what other aerospace things did Brown's work make it into?
The B-2 stealth bomber is probably one of the most iconic planes to have ever been built. Its sleek flying wing design makes it practically invisible to radar and incredibly fuel efficient, allowing it to penetrate even the most sophisticated of enemy defenses. But how did this incredible aircraft come into existence, and what technological advancements made it possible? The rise of stealth aircraft can be tracked back to World War I, when the Germans attempted to use transparent canvas to make their planes difficult to spot. That plan backfired, as the glossy canvas made the aircraft even more visible in sunlight. The demand for stealth aircraft, as we think of them today, rose with the advancement of practical radar technology in the 1930s. The technology formed the backbone of Britain's early warning system during the Battle of Britain, saving uncountable lives from German bombing runs. Let's see how the technology works. Radar works by sending short pulses of electromagnetic energy in the form of radio waves outwards. The antenna then switches to receiver mode and waits to detect the reflections of these radio waves off distant objects. The radar now receives a blip on the screen called a radar cross-section, and its size changes with the magnitude of radio waves returning to the antenna. The radar cross-section is a measure of how detectable an object is with radar. The size of the object is just one factor, which can be mitigated with clever engineering. The B-2 has a 52-meter wingspan, yet it has been reported to have the same radar cross-section as a large bird. So how does the B-2 manage to achieve this incredible feat? The core concept behind the B-2 is reflection. It was designed to reflect the radio waves away from the source, so that they never get the chance to be detected. What is amazing is that every surface of the B-2 has been designed with this in mind. The aircraft was designed with the aid of computational models and a supercomputer, which resulted in an incredibly complex curved shape. This technology was not available during the development of the F-117 Nighthawk, resulting in its much simpler faceted flat panels.
The mission was highly classified, with even senior U.S. officials unaware until President Trump's Truth Social post per Reuters. Israeli strikes from June 12th weakened Iran's air defenses, setting the stage for air and space forces. Rafael Grossi of the IAEA confirmed damage, though Iran downplayed it. Ex-posts, like at Mario Nawfal, praised the B-2's GBU-57 capability. The mission's success sparked global awe and fears of World War III. But with tensions cooling, per recent X-sentiment, what's the B-2's broader impact? Operation Midnight Hammer reshaped geopolitics. President Trump called it a spectacular success, claiming Iran's nuclear program was obliterated, per Fox News. Satellite imagery showed Isfahan's surface devastation, but Fordo's underground damage is unclear, per the New York Times. Iran retaliated with missiles on Al Udeid, intercepted by Qatar.
Good morning, Barksdale, and a warm welcome from Whiteman Air Force Base. My name is Captain Joshua Page with the 509th Bomb Wing, 13th Bomb Squadron. Behind me is the B-2 stealth bomber, which I think is probably the coolest jet in the inventory. We've got today the flagship, the Spirit of America. So come with me and let's take a closer look. So let's talk a little bit more about what makes this airplane so unique. First off is just the striking design. It was designed in the 80s and fielded in the early 90s, but in my opinion, it still looks like it's from the future. So it's the iconic flying wing with the straight triangular edge and the jagged trailing edge that makes this airplane stand out among the crowd. We've got 4 F-117 17,000-pound thrust-producing engines, and those are actually embedded in the jet. It's kind of why it's hard to see. They're just those little bumps on top of the wing right now. Whereas most jets, you just walk up and you can see the big engine hanging out on the outside. That's not the case for us because we're supposed to be stealthy. So we have embedded engines that hide a lot of our sound and heat signature, and that adds to our ability to penetrate the most heavily defended areas in the world. That's just one of many things that we've got working for us here in the B-2 community.
What's it like flying a B-2 bomber? He knows.
A mission like that is obviously extremely grueling, but it's also extremely exciting.
For security reasons, this retired Air Force lieutenant colonel can only be referred to by his military call sign, Stan.
What is the mindset when you are on your way to a mission? You've got 37 hours ahead of you, and then you've got this literally life or death mission ahead of you.
You're not getting a lot of rest, so I can tell you that. Maybe there's target changes that you need to program into the computer. Maybe you're working on long-range communication systems. Maybe you can lay down for about an hour, and if you're lucky, you can doze off. And then the other pilot's left to himself to manage the aircraft.
Yes, the stealth bomber comes equipped with a cot. Also, a microwave oven. There are 2 pilots on board. That's the entire crew. The Pentagon used a head fake for the top secret mission over Iran, which was codenamed Operation Midnight Hammer. 7 B-2s took off from Whiteman Air Base in Missouri and flew west, heading for Guam in the Pacific. But they were a ruse. 7 other B-2s secretly headed east. Destination, the nuclear sites in Iran. On the final leg, they were escorted by U.S. fighter jets just in case the Iranians came after them. In all, more than 125 U.S. planes were involved, including tankers that refueled the B-2s in midair multiple times. The planes flew across the USA and came in for a landing back at Whiteman Air Base. Mission accomplished.
The amount of effort that goes into something like this is just amazing.
The B-21 Raider is the Air Force's new high-tech stealth bomber. It's designed from lessons learned from the B-2 Spirit, a flying wing design that costs around $2.2 billion per aircraft.
Stealth comes with huge tactical and strategic advantages, but not without a pretty big cost of entry.
Designed during the Cold War and delivered after the fall of the Soviet Union, the change in defense priorities meant that only a handful of these bombers were ordered, 21 in total. This time around, the Air Force plans on buying in bulk, with roughly 100 B-21s planned and the possibility for more on the table.
The B-21 looks very similar to the B-2 because the fundamentals of stealth and long-range penetrating air are built around the concept of a flying wing, and that even goes back to the YB-49 when Jack Northrop actually created some of the first flying wings.
The B-21 is also the first modernized element of the so-called nuclear triad: land-based nuclear-armed intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, submarines with nuclear-tipped missiles, and bombers that can carry nuclear weapons make up the triad. If one leg of the triad is eliminated by surprise, the others can still retaliate in the event of a nuclear war.
This is the Northrop-made bomber, touting a space-age stealth coating. It has the ability at some point to fly without a pilot. It's designed to deliver conventional and nuclear weapons.
The U.S.'s bomber fleet is getting old. If the Air Force is going to keep ahead of the competition, then the B-21 must rise to the occasion.
The B-2 Spirit's invisibility, its flying wing design, radar-absorbent tech, and deception tactics made Operation Midnight Hammer a historic triumph. Northrop Grumman, under Kathy J. Warden, proved why it's a defense titan, delivering 420,000 pounds of precision to halt Iran's nuclear ambitions. As tensions ease, per ex posts, the B-2's legacy as a
with the war, teeth sinking deeper, hunger begging for more. Hands up, let it drop, feel the earth